Emma checked the candles for the third time and adjusted the plates so they were perfectly aligned. The soft golden lights in the dining room made everything look warm and romantic. On the table was Daniel's favorite dinner, a chocolate cake with happy 3rd anniversary written in careful icing, and a small wrapped gift beside his plate. Emma looked around the house and smiled nervously. She wanted everything to be perfect for their 3rd wedding anniversary. She glanced at the clock again. Daniel was late. "He's probably busy with work," she whispered to herself, trying to stay positive. Daniel had been distant for months, but Emma believed that tonight would be different. Tonight was special. Tonight, maybe they would talk, laugh, and fix whatever had gone wrong between them. At exactly 9 p.m., Emma finally heard the sound of a car outside. Her face lit up. She quickly fixed her hair and stood near the door, her heart beating fast with excitement. The door opened. "Daniel, you're finally," she started to say, but her words froze in her throat. Daniel was not alone. Standing beside him was a tall, beautiful woman in a tight red dress, her hand resting comfortably on Daniel's arm as if she belonged there. The woman looked around the house with a small smile, like a guest inspecting a hotel. Emma felt like the ground disappeared beneath her feet. Daniel walked inside calmly, took off his coat, and looked at Emma as if nothing was wrong. "Emma," he said coldly, "this is Sophia." Emma couldn't speak. She just stared at them, her hands slowly shaking. Sophia smiled politely and said, "Hi, I've heard a lot about you." Emma finally found her voice, though it was barely a whisper. "Daniel, who is she?" Daniel looked at her with an expression that was completely emotionless. "She's my girlfriend," he said. "My mistress." The words felt like a slap across Emma's face. She blinked, thinking she had heard wrong, but Daniel's face remained cold and serious. "I don't want to lie anymore," he continued. "I never really loved you, Emma. Our marriage was a mistake. I want a divorce." Emma felt her heart shatter, but she refused to cry in front of them. She looked at the dinner table, the candles, the cake, and the gift she had prepared with so much love. Everything suddenly looked foolish. Daniel followed her gaze and said coldly, "You can stop doing all this. It's meaningless now." He then said the words that hurt even more. "This house is in my name. You should pack your things and leave tonight. Sophia will be staying here from now on." The room became silent. Emma stood there for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "Okay," she said quietly. She walked past them, went to the bedroom, packed a small suitcase, and came back to the living room. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she didn't argue. Before leaving, she looked at Daniel one last time. "You didn't just lose your wife tonight," she said softly. "You lost the only person who truly loved you." Then Emma walked out of the house with her suitcase and a broken heart. But as she stepped into the dark night, she made a silent promise to herself. She would never be weak again. A few years earlier, Emma and Daniel were very different people, and their life was very different too. When Emma first met Daniel, he was not rich or successful. He was just a young man with big dreams and a small office that he could barely afford. He worked day and night, trying to build his business, but success did not come easily. There were months when he could not even pay the rent for his office, and many people told him to give up. But Emma never told him to give up. She believed in him more than he believed in himself. When Daniel was tired, she encouraged him. When he wanted to quit, she motivated him. She helped him organize his plans, listened to his ideas, and even helped him prepare presentations for investors. Emma also supported him financially. She used her savings to help him pay some business expenses and never asked for the money back. She sold some of her jewelry to help him during a very difficult time, but she never told anyone about it. She believed that one day Daniel would succeed, and they would build a beautiful life together. And for a while, that dream came true. After years of hard work, Daniel's business finally became successful. He started earning a lot of money, bought a big house, a luxury car, and hired many employees. People began to respect him and call him a successful businessman. But success slowly changed Daniel. At first, he was just busy. Then he started coming home late. Then he stopped having dinner with Emma. Then he stopped talking to her about his day. Slowly, The man who once shared every dream with her became a stranger living in the same house. Emma noticed the change, but she tried to understand. She told herself he was just stressed and busy. She tried to be a good wife. She cooked his favorite meals, planned small surprises, and tried to spend time with him, but Daniel was always on his phone or working on his laptop. Then one day, Emma found a message on his phone from another woman. The message was short but clear. It was not a business message. It was personal. Emma did not fight or scream that day. Instead, she tried to talk to Daniel calmly. She told him they could fix their marriage, they could spend more time together, and they could start again. But Daniel had already changed. He became cold, arrogant, and distant. He started treating Emma like she was not important anymore. The love, respect, and kindness he once had for her slowly disappeared. Emma tried again and again to save their marriage, but she was the only one trying. Daniel had already decided to leave her. Emma just didn't know it yet. That night, after leaving the house, Emma did not know where to go at first. The city that once felt like home suddenly felt cold and unfamiliar. With only a small suitcase in her hand and a heavy heart, she made one quiet decision. She would go to her grandmother. Her grandmother lived in a peaceful town far from the busy city. It was a place Emma had not visited in years, a place connected to a part of her life she had kept hidden. When Emma arrived, her grandmother opened the door, and the moment she saw Emma's tearful eyes, she understood everything without a single word. "You can stay here as long as you want," her grandmother said gently. In the days that followed, Emma slowly began to heal. She spent time in the quiet house, away from the pain and memories. But what happened next would change her life forever. One evening, her grandmother sat her down and revealed a truth Emma had kept hidden from the world. Emma did not come from an ordinary family. Her grandfather had been a powerful and respected businessman, the founder of a massive company worth millions. Emma had grown up surrounded by wealth, but she had chosen to leave that life behind when she married Daniel. She wanted to be loved for who she was, not for her money. But now, everything had changed. After her grandfather's death, the entire company and fortune were left to Emma. She was the only heir. At first, Emma felt overwhelmed. She had spent years living a simple life, and now she was being asked to step into a world of power and responsibility. But then she remembered that night, the humiliation, the betrayal, the way Daniel had looked at her as if she meant nothing. Something inside her changed. Emma decided she would not be weak anymore. She began studying business seriously, learning everything she could about leadership, management, and finance. She worked closely with experienced advisors and slowly started taking control of her grandfather's company. The process was not easy. There were challenges, doubts, and long nights filled with hard work. But Emma did not give up. Over the next few years, she transformed completely. The shy, quiet woman who once waited for her husband's attention became a strong, confident, and intelligent businesswoman. She made smart decisions, expanded the company, and earned the respect of everyone around her. Emma was no longer just a heartbroken wife. She had become a powerful and successful heiress, someone no one could ignore, and someone who would never allow herself to be treated as worthless again. A few months after Emma left, Daniel officially divorced her and married Sophia, the woman he had brought home on his anniversary. Their wedding was expensive and luxurious, full of rich guests, designer clothes, and expensive decorations. Daniel believed he had made the right decision. Sophia was beautiful, fashionable, and loved attending parties and social events. She made him feel important and successful. At first, their life looked perfect from the outside. They traveled to expensive places, bought new cars, and hosted fancy parties in the same house Emma had once carefully taken care of. But slowly, things began to change. Daniel started making risky business decisions. He wanted to grow his company quickly and impress new business partners, but he did not plan carefully. He invested large amounts of money into projects that failed. Some business partners cheated him, and others simply walked away when the company started losing money. Within a year, his company began to struggle. Investors slowly started pulling their money out. Bills became harder to pay. The company that once made him proud was now becoming a burden. At home, things were also changing. Sophia loved luxury, shopping, and expensive vacations, but she did not love problems. When Daniel started talking about financial issues, she became annoyed and distant. She complained when he told her to reduce spending and often compared him to other rich men. "You said you were successful," she once said angrily. "I didn't marry you to live a normal life." Daniel began to feel stressed all the time. He worked late, argued with investors, and tried desperately to save his business, but things only got worse. Soon, he had to sell one of his cars, then another. He also sold some property to pay company debts. One evening, when Daniel came home tired and worried, he found 2 large suitcases near the door. Sophia was standing in the living room, looking bored and impatient. "I'm leaving," she said simply. Daniel stared at her in shock. "What do you mean you're leaving?" "I didn't sign up for this life," she replied coldly. "No money, no parties, no luxury. This is not the life I want." "So you're leaving me because I'm losing money?" Daniel asked quietly. Sophia shrugged. "Let's be honest, Daniel. Money was the reason I married you." Her words felt like a knife in his chest, but he couldn't say anything. Deep down, he knew she was telling the truth. That night, Daniel sat alone in the big empty house. For the first time in years, the house felt quiet and cold. He looked around and suddenly remembered Emma, the way she used to decorate the house, cook dinner, wait for him, and smile when he came home. She had stayed when he had nothing. She had supported him, believed in him, and loved him when he was just a struggling businessman. And he had left her for someone who only loved his money. For the first time, Daniel truly understood what he had lost. But Emma was gone now, and no amount of regret could bring her back. 3 years later, Emma returned to the city she had once left with nothing but a small suitcase and a broken heart. But this time, everything was different. She was no longer the quiet, heartbroken woman who had walked out of her husband's house. Now she was known as a successful businesswoman, a powerful CEO, and the heiress of a massive company. People respected her, admired her confidence, and wanted to work with her. One evening, Emma attended a large charity gala organized by the biggest business groups in the city. The hall was filled with wealthy businessmen, investors, and media. Emma walked into the hall wearing a simple but elegant black dress, her posture confident and her expression calm. Many people greeted her politely as she walked past. Across the room, Daniel was standing near a table, talking to a few people about finding new investors. His business had never fully recovered, and he was no longer the powerful man he used to be. Then he saw her. At first, he couldn't believe his eyes. Emma looked completely different, confident, elegant, and powerful. She was surrounded by important people who were talking to her with respect. Daniel felt his heart drop when he realized who she had become. He slowly walked toward her. "Emma," he said quietly. She turned and looked at him calmly. There was no anger in her eyes, no sadness, just calm confidence. "I'm sorry," Daniel said, his voice heavy with regret. "I made the biggest mistake of my life. I lost the only person who truly loved me. Please, can you give me another chance?" Emma looked at him for a moment, then spoke in a calm, steady voice. "You didn't lose me when I became rich," she said. "You lost me the night you brought your mistress home and asked me to leave." Daniel lowered his head, unable to say anything. Emma continued, "When you had nothing, I stayed. When you had everything, you left. Now I have everything, but I don't need you anymore." With that, Emma turned and walked away, her steps calm and confident. Daniel stood there watching her disappear into the crowd, realizing that he had not just lost his wife, he had lost the best woman who would have loved him for the rest of his life. Moral: never betray someone who truly loves you, because once they walk away, they may never come back.